Hi, welcome to the Recovery Daily Podcast. I'm your host, Rachel Abbasi. I'm a grateful recovering alcoholic and stroke survivor, and I'm very brain foggy right now. So we're going to see what happens. We're in a new month. So happy April 1st. Happy April Fool's Day. And happy birthday to my kid's dad. I'll never forget it. His birthday is on April 1st. So I did send him a happy birthday because that's what I do. So what did I want to talk about today? I want to talk about lack of control. What we control and what we can't control. And how I just have a new kind of perspective on it today, and I wanted to talk about it. We'll see if it comes through or not because of this brain fog thing that I'm having. Today was vestibular therapy day, so it's just a lot. It's a lot. I didn't sleep very well last night because my daggone brain wouldn't stop thinking. A friend of mine in recovery is dealing with the loss of her husband to our disease. And it's just been so just stuck in my head. I'm thinking about her, I'm thinking about her children, and just, how terribly, terribly sad it is. So it's nonstop, and it does reaffirm my commitment to my sobriety. I wish it didn't have to happen. I just wish that we could just figure out how to make this stick for everyone. But it's just, we lose some people, and it's just so sad. It's so terribly sad. So I had a hard time sleeping last night, and whenever that happens, I really can't function very well the next day. So today I slept a lot, and then I had vestibular therapy, which is, again, a lot of activity for my brain. So I'm very foggy, like I said, and but I still wanted to make sure that I did an episode today because I did not have an episode yesterday because it was Easter, and I thought, hey, I'm going to give this non-working lady a vacation today for Easter. So I didn't do an episode, but I did post some adorable pictures of my puppies with some Easter outfits on Facebook. So if you haven't seen it yet, find me on Facebook. I also posted it on my Instagram as well. So look for me on social media and you can see my adorable pictures of my puppies. What is this month's listener challenge? I know you are just sitting back thinking, okay, get to the good stuff. So this month's listener challenge is acts of kindness. Commit to performing one act of kindness each day. It can be as simple as giving someone a compliment, holding the door open for a stranger, or sending a thoughtful message to a friend. And then notice how these acts of kindness impact both the person that you are giving your time to and your kindness to, and how it impacts you. What I have found to be a really great way to perform one act of kindness every day is when somebody crosses my mind, I call them or send them a text. It's as easy as that. And I have found it's almost weird how when people cross my mind, if I act on it when it happens, these people that I reach out to say, oh my gosh, I was just thinking about you. And I'm like, it's weird. It happens a lot. So it's kind of like, what's the universe doing around us that we don't know? So that's our challenge for this month, and I will remind us as we go, and maybe just to reiterate it throughout the month, maybe share some of my acts of kindness to make sure that I'm doing it as well. I'm getting sharp pains now in my head. Hopefully this isn't torture for people listening to me when I'm in pain and I'm foggy. Okay, so today I want to talk about control or lack thereof, manageability, and recovery. So I really didn't even think about what I can and can't control until I got sober. I didn't think about manageability so much in the way that I was realizing, you know, that my life was unmanageable. I knew like I wasn't paying my mortgage. I knew that I was not paying attention to the things that mattered when I was drinking, but to actually back up and look at my entire life as a whole and be like, girl, none of your life is manageable right now. Like to look back and be like, everything is crumbling down. That didn't happen until I actually got sober, stopped drinking, and then looked back at it. It wasn't really when I was in it, when I made the decision to go to detox, I still didn't realize to the extent that my life was unmanageable. Um, and so what that looked like for me was, I've talked about it, but some examples are, I had a friend that passed away right before things just crumbled into a dark, dark hole. And I just wasn't even showing up to work at that point. I wasn't paying my bills. My understanding after at least a year in sobriety, I found out that my relationships were a lot worse off than I even knew. You know, how many people I hurt and stuff, I had no idea. I had no idea. I was so obsessed with drinking, you know. Um, so the wisdom to know the difference. This is what we learn in the Serenity Prayer. And the Serenity prayer quite often we repeat this. I think, every day, every morning in my sobriety meeting, we repeat the Serenity Prayer. And it needs that kind of attention daily, repeating it to really understand what it means. And, that's why we did that as the listener challenge last month, because it requires that kind of repetitiveness and journaling about it every day, like we did, to really be able to associate the three pieces of that prayer to our life on any given day at any given time. And hopefully that exercise was helpful for you to start understanding some of the things in your life that you just can't control, but you're not accepting that. You're not accepting the fact that you can't control it and identifying the things that you can control. So this unmanageability is really you're being overwhelmed by the things that you can't control because you're trying to control them, and it just becomes chaos and confusion. So the first step in sobriety is talking about that, is being able to say, yeah, I'm trying to control everything but the one thing that I can control, and that is picking up a drink. So this idea of unmanageability and control being introduced to me in sobriety is what has now morphed into how can I apply this to stroke recovery and vestibular therapy. I have spent this entire, almost year. It's amazing that it's been almost a year that I've been trying to piece together my new life. I mean, it's not a new life, it's just new conditions in my life. And figuring out now what are the things I can control and I can't control. So, how am I going to respond to it? Most importantly, over the past 9 months, what is my attitude going to be? And what are my daily actions going to be? What kind of program can I build around these new conditions? And so, this principle of control, what I can control and what I can't control. We'll see if I can convey to you what it is I've been thinking. So I was in vestibular therapy, and a couple weeks ago when I first started, and she's giving me these activities that I need to do, she's telling me, okay, you need to move your head. You want to look at an object and move your head from left to right. Okay? Move it from left to right, like I'm doing right now, and see if you can see through these glasses that are oh so endearing. My eyes are staying focused on the green dot where the camera is on my computer. So she said to me, what you can control is the speed at which you're moving your head back and forth, and you can control how far you move your head. So I'm not moving my head all the way over there because I'm not trying to strain my eyes. And I'm not moving my head really fast because that's going to make me feel sick. So, interestingly enough, I was thinking about this whole idea and how that simple instruction that she gave me applies to everything in stroke recovery and sobriety. I think of everything as the serenity prayer, wisdom to know the difference, the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. I'm looking up there because I have it up on my wall. And that's what I've always thought of that way. But when I think about it in the way of just something that I'm moving, like my head, it really, the slightest thing that we do can be broken down even further into what we can do and what we can't do. So when I'm sitting in vestibular therapy and she gives me the next activity, which was last week, and she says, okay, now instead of moving your head back and forth like this and looking at one object, now I want you to move your head and move your eyes with your head, right? So I'm moving my eyes. I'm only going to do this once because it hurts my head. And I'm moving back and forth. Okay? So in this case, still, the only thing that I can control if I'm following direction is how fast I'm moving my head and how far I'm moving my head. But other than that, the rest is out of my control. but I can manage my pain and my discomfort with those pieces of the activity. So when I back up and I look at my life, right? I look at my life. Uh, I've been talking over the past 9 months about how I can't work. You know, it's as simple as that. I can't work. Well, really, everything in my life right now, there's not anything that I should generalize like that and say I can't work. Because work, of course, is where we get paid, right? I can't do anything like where I have a full-time job and I get paid and stuff. But here's my point. My point is that there are things, pieces of work that I can do that don't hurt my head or that I can do slowly, right? Move my head slowly. Um, or I can do it for a short period of time. So when I say I can't work, if I tell you what is the part of work that I miss, well, I miss writing. I miss being creative and I miss writing. Well, I can work then. If that's what I'm calling work, if I'm calling missing work that I can't write and I can't be creative, that's not true. I can work if I'm defining work as that. I can write and I can be creative. What are the pieces of this that I can control? Well, I can talk to my therapist about writing for, write a paragraph. Is that how much my head can take, a paragraph? Then do that. If so that would be the length. That's how far I move my head if I'm equating it to one of these vestibular activities. Or or I can do it slower. You know, I can write a sentence at a time instead. And that would be how fast I'm moving my head. So what I want to stop doing is generalizing, is saying these big, grandiose, catastrophizing sentences like, I can't go for walks. I can't drive my car. I can't write. I can't, all of these, I can't watch TV. And identify the pieces of these activities that I can do and manage them. My life is not unmanageable. My life was unmanageable when I was an active alcoholic. My life was unmanageable. Sorry, my head's hurting. When I was having the stroke, there was nothing I could do about these severe health situations that I was in. I needed help, period, for both of those situations. But in my life right now, I use the 12 steps to break down what I can and can't control. I break down what my responses are, what my attitude is, and what my daily actions are in order to stay sober. In stroke recovery, the same thing is true. The manageability and control extends into this area as well. So I can work with my therapist. I can talk to other stroke survivors. I can go to these support groups and talk to my psychiatrist about achievable goals. Talk about the things that I can do. I've talked about that over the past 9 months here about, oh, Rachel, you need to focus on the things you can do, not what you can't do. But I was thinking about it from the fact of like, okay, here's a list of 10 things that I want to do. Check off what I can, check off what I can't. And I shouldn't be looking at it like that. I want to look at it the way that my vestibular therapist is looking at how to get me engaged back into my life. Not just look at it like these are the things that I can't do. Um, you know, when right before I had to leave my job, I was sorry if I hit my mic. Right before I was about to leave my job, I wasn't planning on doing that. What I was planning on was I was trying to figure out how to go kayaking by myself because I wanted to be able to be independent, and I wanted to be able to lift my kayak up put it on my car by myself, drive it 10 minutes down to the boat ramp and put the kayak in the water by myself and go kayaking by myself. I refused to say that I can't do it on my own. I refused. So I figured out how to do it. I was MacGyvering it, if you know who MacGyver is. I got this big thing. I ordered it in the mail that I could drape over the side of my car. And then I was doing my push-ups. That's how my push-ups started, I think, was because I was wanting to strengthen my arms so that I could lift the kayak on top of the car. So I ended up being able to put this big piece of rubber down on my car, lift up half of the kayak and put that on the car, and then lift up the other half, and then I would push it. And anyway, I did it, right? I did it. I refused to say that I couldn't go kayaking by myself. And it's really, how bad do I want it? How bad do I want to be able to go for a walk independently, 2 miles around the block? How bad do I want it? Well, I had decided last week that I want to do it. So I started walking my dogs more. And so now I've been walking them a block and a half, but I've been doing it 3 times a day. And my back had been hurting really bad from my Weimaraner who keeps pulling her leash. Well, I'm tired of my back hurting, so I started that plank challenge 2 months ago. And although I couldn't get up to 5 minutes, I was able to get to the point where I'm doing a plank every day now. Not every day, every other day. And I miss days, I'm not perfect, but my back is not hurting as much as it was. And I've also started teaching my Weimaraner, because I'm going for 3 walks a day, a block and a half. I'm starting to teach her how to not pull on the leash. And I'll give you a tip. I'm totally straying from the topic, but I'm not really, because my point is that my dog pulling on my leash and my back pain was not unmanageable. There were things that I could control. Yeah, my back was hurting, and I'm not a doctor, but I am totally aware that if something's hurting in my body, I need to work the muscles. I need to work out that part, and it makes the pain go away. Right? My head's been hurting for 3 years. I need to work that part of my body. But here's the tip about how to get your dog to stop pulling on the leash. If the dog pulls on the leash, don't walk. And the only reason I've had the patience to do this is because I get a break. My head gets a break if I don't walk. So what do we do most of the time? We stand there. I stand there until she realizes that I'm not going to walk until she stops pulling on the leash. And it's working. It is actually working. Again, she's not perfect either. But there are times we go outside and all we do is walk, not even a block down the street. We're out there for 20 minutes standing there because I'm not going to move unless she stops pulling on the leash. So there's times when I'm just standing there. I'm standing there and she's standing there and her collar is like, you know, pulling her, but she won't move. So I don't move. And I don't hold it to the point where, sorry, I keep hitting my mic. I don't hold the leash so that it pulls my arm. So there's this leeway. I hold it tight to me so that when she pulls, it's it's like she's pulling a brick wall. Like there's no give at all. So um, anyway, it's taking a couple weeks. It's probably going to take a lot more than that, but that's how I'm teaching her not to pull on the leash. One of my audience members mentioned that she wants to train her dog to not pull on the leash, and I'm talking to you. You know who you are? That's my tip for you. And this is proof to see if you're still listening to the podcast. I just set you up. Okay, let's get back to the point here. So, there are things that we can control. When life seems unmanageable and it seems like things are happening that are out of our control, let's stop and think about, is it really out of our control, or is there something that I can control? You know, I can't open my eyes in the car. Well, what is it that I can control? My vestibular therapist showed me that I can open my eyes in the car for about 15 seconds, 30 seconds, and if the car is going really slow. And that is working the muscles up here. And I've heard about this in my support groups. I've heard about it on social media, these folks that I'm friends with. There's a woman, I think her handle is called the Dizzy Girl on Instagram, I believe. And she posted a picture or a video of a set of stairs. And just look, I couldn't even watch the video. I was like, I'm going to throw up. But her point was, you got to push yourself, you got to exercise these things. And I responded to her and said, there's these stairs outside of my vestibular therapy office that I cannot go up. I can't. And I started taking the elevator. She said, no, you have to work that muscle. My response was, I need to take it slow. And it's true, I do need to take it slow. I can't face those stairs quite yet. But her point is heard. Her point is that don't ignore it. And what I'm trying to do is work up to those stairs. So right now I'm doing these walks with my dog. I'm slowly, I'm opening my eyes for 30 seconds or so in the car. But I talked to my vestibular therapist today about those stairs, and she said, yeah, we're going to introduce those stairs to you. It's just going to take a little time. So all of these things are little pieces in my life that I can control. And I wanted to share that with you because I think it applies across the board in sobriety, in stroke recovery, vestibular therapy, all of these things, all of these things that we're dealing with in our day-to-day lives, no matter what it is. I always say, I think we're all in recovery from something, and there's always little pieces in our life that we can identify. What is the thing that I can look at and set a realistic goal so that I can transform what seems unmanageable in my life to a series of manageable, controllable actions that lead towards healing, towards recovery, towards wellness. So I did pretty good with brain fog. That was pretty good. Over time, it got better and better. I'm super dizzy and I feel very nauseous, but I was able to keep my thoughts together. So that's awesome. And thanks for listening to me today on the Recovery Daily podcast. I'll talk to you.